Hi, everyone. Joining us from LinkedIn, YouTube, and yes, 𝐶𝐞𝐿. Sorry to keep you waiting. So we are starting right now. So hi, everyone who has joined us from LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Yes, that's another channel we're using today. So today we are talking all things Chevening. It's going to be an informal chat. So if you have any other questions, put them in the chat. We'll be responding as we go along. But for now, we'll introduce the panel. So for me, my name is Chimwemwe Masano. I am the Chevening alumni, I should say. I studied at the University of East Anglia for 2022 to 2023, and I'll now hand over to my colleague Winnie to introduce herself, and then we'll go back. We'll now go to Michael. Yeah. We cannot hear you, Winnie. Whilst Winnie is working on her mic, maybe Michael, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, please introduce yourself to the audience.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael 𝐒𝐿. I am a Commonwealth alumni, so basically in 2021 to 22, and I'm currently a PhD scholar in PhD researcher at Loughborough University in the UK here. And I'm from Nigeria. So presently we've just been talking about Chevening applications and everything in between, if that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Winnie, can you hear me now?
Over to Winnie, right?
Yes. Oh, we are having issues with Winnie's mic. Maybe if you can rejoin.
Still
try. Yeah.
think.
Yeah. Okay, so we are also going to be joined by Buchi. He's running late, but he's also going to join us sometime. We also have Winnie here with us, but she's having mic issues. So I'll just go ahead and introduce our talks today. Yes, hi Buchi, just in time.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry I'm late. Sorry. Yeah.
We just started. It was just the introductions that you missed, so you haven't missed anything. So yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you. Okay, let me introduce myself first. I'm Buchi. I was a Commonwealth scholar at the University of Leeds. Probably I'm supposed to be hosting this session, but you see, the host comes late sometimes when things like that happen. But okay, so I guess we've done the introductions for everyone around.
Except for Winnie, she had mic issues, so she's.
Oh, okay. So Winnie, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Oh.
I can't hear you actually. Is your microphone not working?
No.
Yeah. Anyway, while she's sorting that out, maybe just check your device permissions and stuff. Yeah. So today we're talking about Chevening scholarship.
Can you check your mic setting also?
Me?
I think that could be the issue.
No, Bushi, we can hear you. We can hear you properly, Bushi. So you can go ahead and introduce. Yes, and start talking about the Chevening scholarship and all of that kind of thing.
Yeah. So today's session is supposed to be about the Chevening scholarship, and probably though some of us in the audience know about the scholarship. Some of us might have applied before. Some of us might be first-time appliers. Some of us might, have never heard of it before, and maybe this is your first time. So we're going to try to go through the basics do a bit of a basic introduction, and then go into a little bit of detail of the requirements for the scholarship and things that you need to know. I think the plan is to have a more detailed session following on from this one later on, just so that we can take it step by step, bit by bit. So we don't, because it's not something we can fully discuss in the time we have now. So hopefully there will be a follow-up session. So today's session will be mostly about basics and things you need to know. So I'm happy to have everyone in the studio. I don't know if Winnie's microphone is working now. Do you think it's working now? Oh no, it's not. It's not working. I don't know. Maybe if you have a headset or an earpiece or something like that, you can try.
Yeah, maybe we should try that.
Maybe that would help.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's go straight into it. I mean, once her audio is working, we'll be happy to hear her voice, and get her own insights on the things. Yeah. So as usual, just if you're joining us, just pop into the chat where you're joining us from and your name, just so that we have a feel of the audience and the people that are watching the session. As we go through the session, you have any questions, you can also just pop them in the comment section, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on LinkedIn, or whether you're on YouTube. You just put your questions in the comment section and we will try to take them up as the session goes along. Yeah, so if at any point someone says something that it's not really clear, you can just pop it in one of the comments and we'll try to come back to it and try to make it as clear as possible. Hopefully by the end of today's session, all of us listening will have a very good idea of the Chevening Scholarship and what it entails. Good. So I would go straight to do a brief introduction of what the Chevening Scholarship is. Go through everything that an applicant needs to know. So the Chevening Scholarship is one of the scholarships that is funded by the 𝐓𝐸𝐷𝐻, the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, basically the UK government. It's a fully funded scholarship to study a master's degree in the UK. So the Chevening does not cover study for a PhD degree, but it covers study for a master's degree. So that's one thing that people need to know. The Chevening only covers master degree studies, and it's master degree studies for 1 year, starting in September of the academic year. So just so you know, that's one of the very important things to know. The Chevening Scholarship, like I said, is sponsored by the 𝐓𝐸𝐷𝐻. It's a fully funded scholarship. A fully funded scholarship means it covers your tuition, it provides you with a living stipend, it covers any expense that you're expected to incur as part of your studies. So if there's any expense that you incur as part of your studies, study trips, some research funding, some travel funding and everything like that is all covered by the UK government. And so that's the way it is. The Chevening Scholarship is not restricted to particular courses. It goes across every master's degree course across universities in the UK. So if you have a master's degree course that you want to study, you can bring it up as part of the application process for funding from Chevening. Yeah, the only thing is you have to go through the process, get through the selection criteria. You get to the first stage when you submit an application with your documents and your essays, and then after that you're invited for an interview in your country, and then after that interview you're awarded the scholarship. That's the way it works. I think there's a set number of scholars for every Commonwealth country, so it is on a country by country basis. So you apply from your home country. So I think you have to be resident in a Commonwealth country to apply. I think those are some of the basic things that you need to know. Yeah. So that's like a basic tell-all of just a general overview of what the Chevening Scholarship is. Sorry. And that allows us to set the context for what the discussions are going forward. So I don't know if any of the speakers want to add anything by way of a brief introduction before we go into more specific questions about what we want to answer.
I'm not so. We introduced ourselves already. I don't know if we can go into the specifics in terms of the timeline for the scholarship that is now opening in August. if I can
Okay.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the next item is actually, the application scholarship process.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to go through that, the timeline, how the timeline works, I think it's a good one.
Okay, right. So as Buchi has said, in terms of explained in terms of what the Chevening scholarship is all about. So when it comes to this Chevening scholarship, if you want to apply, be sure to note that it's a very long process from the application itself to the end result, where you get now the results for you to start studying in the United Kingdom. So for now, the Chevening scholarship is opening on the 6th of August. And by the time the whole process is done, it's going to be in September 2025, when the scholars are supposed to be in the United Kingdom pursuing various degrees. So as you can see, it's a very long process. So before you even think of starting to apply for the scholarship, you have to know that you have to invest your time, your energy, and emotions into the application process itself for you to survive the whole application. So when it comes to the opening itself, it will open on the 6th of August. There's an application portal where you're going to register and then answer questions in terms of essay and everything in terms of the background, your education, the degree that you want to pursue, all it's in that application portal. So all the applications for the Chevening scholarship are in the application portal. Even if you applied for the last time, that one is gone. It's a last. It's now a new application. They don't take into account whether you applied previously. You're going to answer a question of whether you applied previously, but they do not store your previous applications. So when you start this year, it's a new application altogether on the 6th of August. Now it will close on, I have my notes here. I think it's closing on 5th November 2024. So do take note of the timeline from 6th August, 6th August opening, 5th November 2024, that's the closing timeline. And it's midday UK time. So please do set that on your phones, whatever device you have. Please do set those closing times. You don't want to have all those last time panics. And after it closes in November, from November, mid-November up to January, now it's going to be the reading committees starting to read now your essays, because at the backbone of your application are the application, there are Chevening essays. There are almost 4. There are 4 of them, which cover various aspects in terms of leadership network. I think we'll go through into the specifics of that later on in detail. So the reading committees now spend much more of the time reading your essays. But before they do read your essays, they'll go through like the criteria itself that is said in terms of who is supposed to apply for the scholarship. So before they even read your essays, they are going to sieve through anyone else who qualifies for the scholarship. And now they start the reading process from mid-November up until January 2025. From January 2025, now it's going to be the selection process for the ones that are going forward for the interview. After the independent reading committees select from per each country. So they now select per country how many individuals are now going through to the interview process. So usually around February, that's when the embassies or the British High Commissions in countries are going to be sending now the emails to successful candidates who have gone through to the interview process, the phase. So after that, the interview phase is going to last up until February. Around for the timeline that is online, it's going to be around 25th from February up until 25th April 2025. So that's now the global interview process. So it all depends in the country when you're going to have those interviews. So after the interviews, now it goes back into the selection. After the interviews now, they select the ones that are proceeding. So from June, now the results are going to be given to candidates who have gotten the scholarship. So That's in a nutshell how the Chevening scholarship works. But in between, there are now some other deadlines that a candidate is supposed to meet. So from the timeline as well online, if you can go, you'll find out that from 19th February, there's a timeline where you go back into the system to input any other references that are needed. So this is also coinciding with the time that they are sending out to the successful candidates going through for the interview processes. So you're going to go back to input your references. By 19th February, please, any documentation that is required, you're supposed to put in. So when you start the application right now, please identify your referees. Make sure you have all documentation ready. That means you need to input your degree or anything else, that it has to be in there by 19th of February. And there's also another deadline that is also within, before you even start, you get the offer itself, is for you to have an unconditional offer. So the unconditional offer, in according to the timeline, you're supposed to bring to send it to the Chevening committee by 11th of July 2025. So do take note of that when you are also applying, so that, because applying for the Chevening scholarship is different from applying for the UK universities. The Chevening does not apply for you for the universities. So that means you have also to make sure that you identify schools that you are sure you're going to get an offer basing on your, whether your experiences or your educational background. So do make sure that whenever you're applying for the Chevening scholarship, you select universities that you are sure you're going to get an offer by 11th of July 2025. So in a nutshell, for the duration of the application process, it will start from August up until September 2025. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chinwe, for that very robust run through of the scholarship timeline. I think the key takeaway I want our viewers to know is that it's a full year process. So if you are applying for the Chevening scholarship in 2024, it's to start school in 2025. That's the way it works. So that's the way the timeline works. So if you apply in 2024, it's to start studies in 2025. If you're applying in 2025, it's to start studies in 2026. And you submit your application in 2024, and you basically can't do anything about the application anymore. And that's what will be assessed over the 1 year period. If you're successful, you get to the interview stage, and then it proceeds from there. I think the key dates are usually published on the Chevening website, and we'll try to provide the link to the Chevening website in the chat or in the comments, so that people can go straight to the website and get a rundown of the dates, so that you can always look at it and always refer back to it to know what the deadlines are. And please, the deadlines are very strict and very time bound, so it's very important that you understand those things, especially when you're submitting an application on the portal, because if there's a lot of traffic on the portal and you're in the last minute, it might just take you over the last minute, and your application will not be able to go in. So it's always advisable to submit hours or even a day or two before the actual deadline is reached. Good. So that's about the timeline. I think we had a question while you were speaking where someone asked, let me see. Let's see. Steph asked if the scholarship is just for students aspiring to study in the UK. And the answer to that question is yes. The Chevening scholarship is only for a master's degree in the UK. It does not apply for any other country. It does not apply for a PhD or any other postgraduate degree. It's a 1 year master degree in the UK. Good. So that's some of the basic things you need to know. Like she said, the application will be opening in a few weeks. The application portal is open for about 6 to 7 weeks, depending on the way they do it every year. It changes every year, but the process is usually the same. You need to prepare your documents. You need to prepare your essays. You need to get all your details together. You would be asked the schools and the courses that you want to apply to the scholarship for. You have to list, the school and the courses, even though you might not have applied for admission to those schools as of yet. So that's why it's very important to choose courses that align with what you're doing, and you're sure that you are going to get an admission offer. Because it happens that if you get awarded the scholarship and you do not get awarded the admission to the course that you applied for, then the scholarship would have to be transferred to someone else because you didn't get the admission to study the course with the university. So the scholarship does not automatically mean that you go on to the university to study. Yeah. So I will let Michael say a few things about the basic requirements for scholarship application. I mean, there are some of them that are basic across the board, like the documents you need to have, and how the university application process works. But if there's anything that are also specific to the Chevening process, you can also point them out. Michael.
All right. Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me. I hope you can all
Yes.
hear me. Can we? Okay, good. Just to cross check. Okay. It's a good rundown for the timelines that have been listed, and which is, as you mentioned, is a whole year process. So, but basically, I would like to come from the point of the university applications, because I know we haven't gone quite deep, but at least it's noteworthy to begin to pick little points along the line so that everybody's aware of it. For the Chevening process itself, you are required to submit at least, I think, three unconditional offers from three universities that you have gotten offers from. That's also required in the application process. So you need to have applied to this university, early enough to get your offers. Like I know for now there are some universities. Of course, for the UK universities, the applications are like open like year round, depending on what intake you want to come from. And the Chevening goes for September intake. So it's very important that you begin to send out those applications as soon as possible. And one of the advice I want to give for people for choosing universities, you need to choose a university that will give you a good response rate, at least universities that have high acceptance rates and the likes. So if you are either you're going to be choosing like grouping your universities according to the order of I would say rankings, because you know that the universities with higher rankings have a whole lot of have lower acceptance let's say lower acceptance rate. So that means you need to fight more to get to those universities. So it's important you begin to send out applications to those universities right now, for your Chevening, to be able to include them in the Chevening application, because it must be an unconditional offer. So it's very, very important that you attend to that. And if it's possible, also along the line, you get the conditional offer, you can include it in your application process, indicating that you have reached out to the university for trying to use it for your application. And other documents, of course, in the application process, you are required to give responses to like 4 essays that you'd have to make reference to properly. It's very important you give answers to this essay. So the essay also is very important. And for English requirements, so English also is required. Like you have English certificates, either you are presenting the IELTS. So this condition is more like university specific in most cases. So based on the application you are presenting, so it's more university specific. So it depends on if your university accepts, if you are from Nigeria, some universities accept WAEC as a substitute for IELTS. So I don't know for other countries, maybe Chinwe and will be able to give maybe a response to that also. So you can use your WAEC certificate as a substitute for IELTS, and some universities accept that. So that's why it's more. It takes a little bit of research to know which universities accept which, so that you can be able to now align your application towards them. And for some that accept IELTS, that means you need to take the IELTS. So you see that your own application period begins to get longer, because you have to apply for IELTS, wait for your result, and then use it for your university application. Why some can accept, I think some can even accept English proficiency certificates from your university. So if you attended from your bachelor's program, you can request for an English proficiency certificate from your university that will attest that your language was taught in English your course was taught in English. So that can be included in your for myself. I think I have not written any IELTS exam up until now, and I'm currently doing my PhD. So you can imagine. So the only certificate I made use of was the English proficiency certificate in conjunction with my work certificate. So I haven't written IELTS since I started this application journey, and I don't think I'm going to ever write it. Hopefully, so that is very very important, and it's very important you get to that certificate to include in your application. So there's other background work you need to start doing now, even before you commence the application, and your transcripts, academic transcripts is also included. Your work certificate, your what's it called, bachelor certificates. For some of us, I know some people might be having one challenge or the other to get their transcript out or their certificate out. So this is a good time to begin to do those frame groundworks to get those certificates together. So the more documents you have in as like coherent documents, the more chances you have in being shortlisted for these scholarships. So it's better to have those documents ready than when it's the time when the application comes out, you start scrambling to address this document. So that is also important. Also, this is also the right time to begin to speak to your referees, begin to tell them my application period is coming. So just begin to give them like a reminder. For some of us that have lost touch with our either your academic supervisor, your professional, your supervisor at work. So because you can use referees from the industry, referees from academia. So irrespective, in as much as they can attest to your proficiency to what you can do. So this is a good time to begin to give reminder calls, send reminder emails, messages. I'll be using you for my application period. And it's not even, you don't even need to, I wouldn't say make direct requests, but keeping in touch. One of the things is keeping in touch. Your relationship with your supervisor when you are doing your projects is also very, very important. So this is a time where they come to attest to your capability when you're doing your undergrad days. So I believe if you have this document or these activities commencing right now, you will have better chances when the application opens up. So let me just hand over to Chinwe back. That's fine.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. I don't know, Winnie, do we have your audio now? Maybe so that our audience can hear your voice.
Can you hear me at least now?
Yes, I can hear you, but you
Volume
are
is low.
lower. Just increase your volume.
Oh, okay. Louder now. Is it better?
Let's hear from the audience if they can hear you. I can hear
Can you
you,
hear
but
me now?
yes, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Let the
Thank you.
audience hear your
I'm
voice.
so sorry about all the interruptions. I'll just introduce myself. My name is Winnie Akello, and I'm a current Chevening scholar. That is 2023-2024, and I'm currently at the University of Leeds. Yes.
Leeds.
That's my introduction. Do I have to talk about something particular?
Yeah. Don't worry. We'll get back to that. It's nice
All right,
to
sure.
finally hear your voice, and it's good that technical difficulties have not allowed you to be mute on the call. So, yeah, I'll come back to you. I have a question for you. It's good to know that we have a current Chevening scholar, so we have the most recent information on ground. Yeah. So just to buttress some of the points that Michael made, I think the school application process is something that we need to be very conscious of. Like I said, you will be submitting your application to Chevening by November, and by then you might not have completed the admission application. So you can submit your Chevening application without completing the admission application to the university, but you have to, make sure that you complete those applications as soon as possible so that you can get feedback as soon as possible, and then you'll be able to update it on your application after you have submitted. But during the course of your submission, they will ask you your 3 choices of universities and courses that you want to study under the scholarship for. So you have to give them a first choice, a second choice, and a third choice. And the reason for that is because, out of the 3, maybe one might not give you admission, but you'll be able to use the second one or the third one. So you need to give top 3. So that means you have to have at least 3 options that you're looking at that align with whatever your application is saying. And then you present that to them, and then, make application to those 3 universities, make sure that you clear everything. I think one of the important documents that some people tend to overlook is, the international passport. Some people might not have that as of yet. So if you don't have that, you actually need to get one, because it's part of the requirement. Many universities will ask you for a travel document if you're an international student, because you can't be applying to come to my country and you don't actually have the travel documents to come. So the university would like to know that you have the travel document to come as part of the admission application. One other thing is, when you submit an application to a university, you can get what they call a conditional offer or an unconditional offer. And Chevening accepts unconditional offers as part of the process. So a conditional offer means they've offered you a place pending some conditions are met. Maybe there's a document missing, or different conditions. Maybe you need to write the IELTS, like Michael mentioned, to prove your English proficiency and things like that. So you also need to clear up any conditions that you have before the Chevening scholarship would accept that as a full-blown admission. The only condition that they accept without being cleared is if the condition comes with financial constraints. Like if the university asks you to make a financial deposit to secure your place, Chevening will accept that admission as an unconditional offer, and they will make the deposit on your behalf. So those are some of the important things you need to know. In terms of referees, like Michael also mentioned, you have to have referees, because the application will ask you for your referees. They might not ask for the reference letters right away. I think that comes later on as part of the process. If you go to the website, look at the timeline, you'll see when they will ask you to, bring your referees and everything. So those are some of the things that you also need to be mindful of. I think there was a question about age limit, and I think Winnie has answered that question very well. There's no age limit to the scholarship application. I think I've met a Chevening scholar that was in their 60s before at one of our scholar events. So I know that there's no maximum age limit that has been set anywhere. So it doesn't matter if you've been, if you're entry level in the industry, or if you've advanced in the industry and you're pivoting, or whatever your situation may be, your age, your gender is not a barrier. So all people are welcome to apply. I think the only other thing is the Chevening always asks that you have at least 2 years of work experience. So that's something to be mindful of as well, because you would have to fill in your work experience as part of the application on the portal. So that's some of the important things. Like Michael said, the English language requirement is very important. I'm also one of those people that never wrote an English test. I did my master's without having the need to write an English test. I had to use my SSCE and a letter from my university that I studied in English. So sometimes it's on a country by country basis, depending on where you come from. Some universities have country specific requirements. And they have, most of the time on their website, you can find the list of documents that are accepted in lieu of an English language proficiency exam. So it's one of the things you should also look out for as you're making your application, or as you're looking at schools. I think it's always easier to apply to the school that has a list of requirements that you already have. If you find the course that you want to study at maybe 4 or 5 universities, and one of those universities has like an English language requirement that you have already, that you don't need to start applying for, I think that's one of the good ways to shortlist universities that you want to go to. So just some of the things to think about. I just wanted to highlight those points. Good. So like I said, we'll be coming back to Winnie, because we're going to start talking about the main interest in some of these things. The essays are usually the hottest topic when you talk about scholarship application. So I want to go into the essays now. Talk about, I think the Chevening scholarship has 4 essays. they have 4 essays that they ask you to write about: leadership and influence, the networking essay, your career plan, and your study in the UK essay. Those are the 4 essays that I know we wrote then, because I also applied for the Chevening even though I wasn't successful. So, but we have Winnie, who was successful, here with us, so she's going to talk to us about some of the things. But to be fair, I think I know why I wasn't successful. I pointed out some of the, reading my application after a while, I could look at it and I could know now. Even if I was the one awarding the scholarship, I'm not going to give that application an award. So that's why it's always good to have these type of programs where people tell you, the exact things that they need to look out for, what they did that was very incremental or instrumental in their success. And I say Ejiro put a comment that she missed her own deadline by 3 minutes. So that's one of the disqualifying factors. So like we said, many things come together to make your application to actually soar through. So Winnie, do you want to go into talking about the essays? I can leave the mic for you. You've been on mute for a while, so we can allow you to talk for a while.
All right. Thank you so much, Buchi. Wow, this is actually the gist of the whole session. I think if anything, it's always about the essays, So as it has been said already, so there's 4 essays: the leadership essay, the networking essay, the study essay, and then the career essay. And so the leadership essay, I'll also start by talking about the fact that the Chevening scholarship is essentially looking out for leaders, future leaders. And one thing I'll start by saying is that everyone is a leader, whether they recognize it or not. At least in one way or the other, you've actually exhibited some sort of leadership, And the most important thing to do at this stage, just before the applications open, is to do a very deep introspection into yourself, to kind of understand the kind of person that you are. Because in writing your essays, you are essentially you're selling yourself essentially. So what are those things about yourself, that express leadership qualities? What have you done in, school, during your study life or during your career that show you off as a leader? And these don't have to be very grand things as people think, It can just be as simple as, identifying a problem at work and then finding a way to solve it. As long as you can show that, that's what makes you a leader, So in the very initial stages, just start by sitting down, understand the kind of person that you are. What are those strengths? What are those things that can sell you off very uniquely? And one very important hack that I can give you at this stage is that it's all about the essays are all about showing your unique qualities. How unique can you be when you sit down to write? Because you are unique. You are different from every single person on the face of the earth. So how can you identify that bit about yourself and write about it? So that's leadership. And then networking is what they're looking for here is, can you, with all the people that you have met, what kind of impact have you been able to accomplish with the networks you've built along the way? And one very important aspect about networking is that because networking is a two-way street, so you need to be able to show how that person helped you and how you also helped them, something like that. So it is a two-way street. If you can show that, that's the most important thing. That just shows, that you have networking skills. And then the study essay is essentially about, showing how much, showing why you actually want to study in the UK. What are those qualities about the UK universities the UK cities, your particular field in relation to the UK. Why do you actually want to go to the UK? Why do you want to study in the UK? So can you show that? And the most important thing is to always show, you don't have to just tell, just show it, So in the study essay, essentially what you're doing is talking about, for example, a particular university. You can say it is well known for this particular field, and this is the field of my interest. You can identify particular individuals in those universities that who's maybe, for example, a professor who is, doing a bit of work in a particular field that you have come across, and you know that you very much benefit from that, from studying in that particular university. So if you can show it, then you have it. And then the very last one is the career essay. So the career is just showing, what are you going to use, whatever skills and networks you're going to build during your study that you can that can translate into your career. So when you're thinking about your career, it's a lot easier if you can break it down into like a short term, maybe 1 to 3 years. That's immediately after you've returned from the study. So what do you think? What are those very first things that you will do as soon as you return, given what you have learned and what you've experienced? And then the midterm is you could say 3 to 5 years. It's just like a projection of the kind of things you expect to do. And then, of course, a longer term, which is 5 to maybe 10 years. And you're just talking about, all the things. So each of these timelines, each of them feed into each other. So you just have to show that, something like that. So that's really just a quick overrun of the different essays. Of course, we shall talk more about this in detail in the coming future, but for now, we're just we're just brushing over them.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I think that was very insightful, even though it was very quick. Yeah. I think it takes a certain skill to be able to summarize so much important points in such a short time. And I think it's one of those things you learn when you start writing this kind of essays, because they give you the word limit, and you have to write a lot of stuff to fit into it. So you need to learn how to make your points as concise and as direct as possible while capturing as much information as possible. So she said, we would have to arrange a future session, probably when the application window is now open, where we're going to run through. So we're going to spend the whole time running through just the 4 essays, so that it makes more sense what kind of things we're talking about. But that does not mean that if you're an applicant, you shouldn't start writing your essays before then. The point of that session would be that you've created your own draft, you've had a go at writing those essays, and when you come for the session, you're listening to be able to point out from your own essays, have you captured these points that they've mentioned? This thing that the speaker said, was it captured in your own essay? Has this point been covered? Did you go off tangent on this particular essay? What I've written, does it go in line with what's being said? And then with that, you could take that and go back. And so that session will be useful for you to come to with a draft of your own essay. So when the speakers are making way through the essays, you're able to read through yours and critique your writing yourself and be able to adjust. Because if you just come with a blank piece of paper and you're just listening, you might think that you're getting the full message. But at the end of the day, when you start writing, you begin to understand that, no, I wasn't really getting that point. And then you'll be able to ask more relevant questions while the speakers are also going through the essays in detail. That's why we are not going through the essays in detail today. So, but we've given a good idea. The leadership essay and the networking essay. For me, I usually say the leadership essay and networking essay is about your past. It's about where you're coming from. What have you been doing? What makes you stand out as an individual, as a prospective leader? You're making an application for a large amount of funding. a large amount of money, and there's very few spaces. So the idea is they want to give those spaces to the individuals that show the most potential. So you have to show that in the past you've been doing something. You're not going to start doing something after funding if you weren't doing something before the funding. So that's a very important point. And I believe, people have been doing different things. It's just that people like to downplay some of the things that they do. People exhibit leadership in different spheres, at the family unit, in civil society, back in school, in social clubs, different places. Leadership is leadership. It doesn't really have to be, at the workplace or something. So those are important things. Networking as well, the same way. You need to show that you know how to talk to people, you know how to work well with people. Your relationship with people is beneficial to them as well as yourself. You've leveraged it to accomplish a few things. Then when you get into the studies, now the study UK is now you're now proposing, okay, I want to study in the UK. Why? Because of, as Woody said, why is it the UK? Why are you not studying in your country? Why are you not going to Canada? Why are you not going to, Sweden? Why are you choosing the UK? Why are you choosing that university? Why are you studying that course? How is that course relevant to whatever you want to do, whatever you're doing? Why is it interesting? Why is it the course that the government, they should pour money into getting professionals out of that course? Those are the things you need to let people know. And then the career plan is basically, after you've done the funding, after you've gotten the education, what next? What are you planning to do with it? What is going to amount to? Are you just going to take the degree and put it under your bed, or are you going to make use of it to accomplish other things? So those are some of the basic questions that needs to be answered. And we'll try to go into more detail into how the writing should be, how concise it should be, how to use the SMART and STAR approach, and many other things at the future date. But begin to draft up something. To the best of my knowledge, I know that it's a 500-word essay for each, and I think Winnie has put that in the chat, so it hasn't changed since the time I applied. And the prompts, the prompts might be fairly the same, so you could use the prompts from last year, the prompt statement that they used for HSF from last year, to begin to draft up something. When the application window opens, you go into the portal, you will be able to see what's there. If they haven't changed it, it would be the same. If they've changed it, it will be different. You have to adjust. I also need to specifically say, whatever is being said on this program is our personal experience and opinions. We're not here on behalf of the Chevening body or on behalf of FCDO. They have the liberty to change the process from what we had seen in the past, so that can happen. But just so you know, we're giving you our own experience in the most recent times of what exactly the scholarship has been. Yeah, so those are some of the very, very key and important points. So I would just like to say one more thing.
Before you go on, maybe to another one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can say something.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted, when Winnie was talking, I think I just felt like there was one thing that I needed to add on before we go on to another topic altogether. Winnie has summarized the 4 S's very well. However, I wanted to, when she was talking about this is a time for you, like to the moment of introspection in terms of what you want to do. So if you can see the essays, the way Winnie has explained, they are looking at the leadership, the networking, why you want to study in the UK, and then the career plan itself. So if you sit down right now, before you even start writing the essays, the best thing you can do is to look at yourself. What have you done in the past? What have you studied? Like, what's your background in terms of education background? You put it down there. What have you done? Be it in terms of volunteering, the professional work, all of that, put it down there. Then you come into what are you doing right now? What is it that you're doing in the work, like in terms of work itself? What is it that you're doing? Is the work that you want to do in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years? Is that what you want to do for the foreseeable future? So there might be 2 or 3 answers to that. So there might be an answer to say, no, I want to change my career. So that's also, it will take you to another 10 in terms of thinking of what you want to do in the future in terms of the career So when you're writing the career plan, the career essay itself, now you're looking at this question that you've asked yourself, that you're changing your career. Because if you're changing your career, it means you're even changing the type of degree that you currently have. Maybe that would be another reason. So you put all those reasons also into the write-up. If you're changing your career, you're changing your degree, then you have to tell them why you're doing that. So it's now a moment where you're reflecting on these other questions. Or if you want to do that type of work for the foreseeable future, why? The same question, why, is also going to come. So you also need to answer yourself, why do you want to do that kind of job that you want, or to run that organization, or to lead that kind of company that you want to lead. So that why should always be at the center stage as you're asking yourself for the questions leading to the writing of the questions. So in terms of leadership, usually with leadership, you showcase the past experiences. That's the whole reflection of the leadership. Because if they want to invest money in you, they want to see that you have done something that showcased leadership. I always tell some people that I'm mentoring that to say, if anyone else can get the Chevening scholarship, the only difference that makes it impossible for anyone else not to apply, maybe for me, it will be because they want someone who has a first degree. But if you can go back to the communities that we are in, you'll find that there are so many leaders from every corner of your community or in the world. But maybe what is stopping them from applying for the Chevening scholarship is because they don't have the first degree. So you have identified yourself, this is what you've done in your leadership. In any way, be it in school, be it in church, be it in your volunteering activities, you put them down there and then you do that. And then when you go back to this second S of the networking, the same thing, you also you do that introspection. What is it that you're doing with your network? Is it helping you? Are you helping others? You go on to that. So the thing is, the whole point is just make like a strategy. I have also a mentor who also mentored me when I was starting this journey. So the first thing that they said was, can you just write your 10-year strategy? What do you want to be? If you are able to write that 10-year strategy, you are able to write the whole essays that Winnie has talked about. And then also, I think prior to Winnie speaking, there was a question in terms of the English language, all of that. And I know that there are some Malawians also joining us on the call. So you'll be happy to know that you can also use your MSCE. The beauty is the Chevening scholarship itself, as a scholarship body, they have removed that limitation. I hope it will be the same as well for this year as well. We can also verify from their website. As we said, we are just using our past experiences. So I think from 2021 or 2022, Chevening removed the need for IELTS or English language requirement as one of the requirements for the Chevening scholarship itself. However, the English language itself comes in for the universities that you're applying. So when you're selecting the universities, you will know if one of the universities requires an English language. If they accept MSCE, for example, from Malawi, that's what you're going to use. If they don't, then you're going to use these others. You also you have to just get to just read widely on the portal itself, because there are so many English language requirements that are there. There's also another one, Duolingo. There's also this other IELTS, as we say, and I think most of us on this panel, including me, I didn't write the IELTS itself, but because when I was applying for the Chevening, it doesn't require the English language. I was looking for universities who do not might not be the need for the IELTS for me to apply for the IELTS. However, there's a caution to this. Don't just go for the universities just because they do not require IELTS. No, you have to go for the universities that better match your future, that the courses that are offering are better matching what you want. Because when they are selecting the selection committees, the leading committees, they also match they will also match your choices, the choices that you've put in terms of the courses. So if you're just selecting the courses anyhow just because you're running away from English language, that means you're not doing yourself good at going to a university that will give you the best in terms of your career choices. So you just need to weigh in the options to say, can I invest in this? Or is this something that I don't want to invest in? So it's a matter of choices as you go along in terms of selecting these other issues. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for those very important points. I think that last point is a very important caution, because I think I personally, I didn't know that my university didn't require the IELTS when I applied. So that was my first choice. That was where I wanted to go, and then I did the application, and then they sent me the conditional offer. You have to provide proof of English language, etc. IELTS score not below ABC. And I was thinking of how to go about that. It's expensive, you need to schedule it. And then I had to, go back to the university website, check through the English language requirements, what other options are there for me. And then I had to send them an email, follow up. And then they responded, oh, you can do this, you can do that. And then I uploaded the documents I had, and then, they accepted and switched my offer from a conditional offer to an unconditional offer. I think one thing I also want to mention is that you can use a deferred admission. So if you already have an admission for, let's say, the 2024-2025 academic year, September, and you're not able to take it up because you don't have the funding to take it up by this September, and the university allows you to defer that admission, you can defer it to the next academic session, and then you apply for the scholarship and then use the funding to do that. Some universities allow such things. Some universities are less welcoming of deferring offers. So it's a thing you have to research. That's something you have to do personally on your own. Weigh your options. I use the deferred offer myself. So, but some universities don't want you to defer. Some ask you to make a deposit before you defer. So all universities are not the same. So when you're applying, those peculiarities will begin to crop up, and as they crop up, you begin to take further decisions on what you want to do. So I just wanted to drop one or two helpful tips about what applicants should be doing between now and the application window. Just we've been said a lot of things here, but I just want to drop one or two things, and then after that will be if anybody else wants to contribute, they can contribute, and then we'll start going through. I think I've seen a few questions drop in the chat that we may need to answer in some detail. So I think one of the important things we've said is the university admission. So start shortlisting universities courses. I think going off the last point that you made, you have to have your own personal plan for yourself. That's the only way this thing works. You have to have a personal plan for yourself. What do you want to do? Because the whole process of this application is to make sure that you are a holistic individual with a holistic plan. You're coming from somewhere, you were doing something, you need these study skills to improve what you're doing, or to switch to doing something else that you feel is more important that you want to be doing in future. So you need to know what you're doing. You need to know what you want to do. You need to know where your focus is. And then based on that, you should know what course you want to study. You're not studying for studying's sake. You're studying for a purpose. You have to be studying for a reason. You don't just study because you want to study. You don't just study because you want to get a certificate. A certificate is a piece of paper. But that knowledge that you get while studying is very important. And they want to know what you want to use it to do. And you need to tell yourself exactly what you want to use it to do. That would guide you to the kind of courses you want to apply to, and the kind of universities you want to go to, and everything. So take that as a very important point of what you should be doing now. And the second point is, you need to start, I will call it preparing your portfolio of evidence, but it's not in the strict sense. It's in the sense that you need to do that introspection, have a list of the things you've been doing, the organizations you've belonged to, we've given you a little bit about what the essays talk about. Where have you exhibited leadership? Where have you exhibited networking? How have those things helped you? What kind of instances can you draw on to include in your essays? Most of the time, they won't ask you for, physical evidence for those things that you put down. Maybe you served at this place, you served at that place. But as a rule of, as a general rule, or as general recommendation, not a rule, a recommendation, if you're ever doing anything in any position as a volunteer or anything, and there's a way to document what you're doing, try to document it, whether it's photos, whether it's on a blog post, whether it's even on social media, a social media post from the organization or from yourself, or have some form of evidence. If they're going to give a certificate or a letter or a recommendation, whatever it is, have those things. Make sure if you don't have them before, maybe from now start getting them whenever you're working on stuff or any other things you're doing. If you can, retrace steps and get some of those things back. Because if you qualify for the Chevening interview, those are some of the things you can bring to present when you're making your interview that makes your case a strong case. You're saying that you've done this, and you're showing the panelists evidence of things that you said you've done. It makes for a stronger case to convince the people that you're interviewing. We will also have a session on the interviews, hopefully down the line, after the application process we've done with the essays, we've done the submission, maybe down the line, before the interview starts, we may have a panel discussion. We have a webinar like this to discuss what the interview is about. But for now, don't worry too much about that. Focus on, building the profile that matches a Chevening scholar, I'll put it that way. Yeah, so have those things, get your documents, school application, get your documents, international passport, your degrees and everything, your degree certificate, your transcript. Start reaching out to your referees, like Michael has mentioned. Have referees that you can count on. Have referees that you can talk to. Don't put a referee because he's in a high-ranking office, but you don't have access to the person. That's not a good referee. Because a good referee is someone that can talk about you, that you can talk to, that you can reference with you. This is someone that can talk about you at any given point. So if Chevening calls the person on the phone to talk about it, the person should be able to answer the phone to talk about it. So think about those type of things, so that you don't get to the point where you've submitted someone's name as a referee, and down the line, when it's time for the referee to respond, the person is unavailable because you actually don't have access to this person, but you just felt like, he's a good person to put on the application. It doesn't really work that way. They value someone that can actually talk about you more than, whoever the person really is. It's not really that important. So those are some of the few things I wanted to drop as way of, telling you, between now and the opening of the application, start thinking about those things, start gathering all that data, start shortlisting your universities, do, those preliminary groundwork. You can start drafting essays as well, like I said before, start writing something, because, the more you write, the better you get at it. So start thinking about things like that. I think that's all from me. I don't know if anybody else has any tips they want to drop before we start taking questions in the comment section.
Yes, Buchi.
Oh yeah, Michael, go ahead.
I wanted to make a reference because it just popped into my head, especially for very recent graduates. Part of the requirements of Chevening is to have I think about 2,600 hours of working experience, and that's cumulate to I think about 35 to 60 working hours per week or something. Yeah. So, and it's also a requirement. It's also a part of the requirement that you must have like work experience. However, you do not need to have. It doesn't have to necessarily be a full-time work experience, which is why we usually advise. Personally, for myself, I usually advise students currently in school to involve themselves in as much volunteering opportunities as possible, because this also can be calculated as your working experience. Because part of the reasons of saying you are doing a volunteering job is for you to gain experience and for you to gain knowledge in that particular field that you just find yourself. So it's important that early graduate people who are just graduating from university or about to graduate or something, they can have, which is part of the reflection they need to do, because some of them might not know that they have the experience that is needed for the application. Somebody might just see that, oh, they ask for 20,000 hours of work experience, which is just like a year it's mostly like 1 year working experience, like cumulatively. And this can come from a full-time job, it can come from a part-time job, it can come from volunteering, as little as helping your church to organize a program, as helping your department to organize a seminar, joining your supervisor in lab, helping to sort out exam scripts. These are part of working experience. So it shows that you have the capacity to function or in a particular sector or industry. So, but it does not it doesn't have like maybe you are trying to change a field or so, but in as much as you have a working experience, that you are able to communicate and indicate, because even in the body of your application you indicate, yes, I have so hours of working experience, which you will put in the application, because you have to indicate the hours of working experience that you have. So, but still, you then need to communicate this in your essays, because that will come into the essay of the leadership, it's coming to the essays of your career plan, it's coming to the essay of your what is it called, the essay of your networking also. So it will come into that. So if you are able to bring that, especially the networking, because these are the areas where you tend to gain experience. A lot of networking experience would have introduced you to other working relationships, other opportunities. So for me, I usually see these essays as one essay. I know they are written in 4 parts, but I see them as one essay, like in particular. So they're just telling you're only telling your story in just 4 parts, but you're actually telling what just one story. So everything must flow. That is, each sections of the essay, even if they're in different tabs, they must connect to each other. So, and once they connect, if your essay is connecting to what is it called, to the biodata that you have indicated on the body of your application, it shows there's a level of coherence that the committee, once they begin to review the application physically, it shows that there's a level of coherence in your application data to the essays that you have presented. So this is very important. While I also advise that in your writing stage, I know somebody was mentioning that when do I start writing? See, the best time to start writing these essays is now. And because I know many people will be saying, oh, August, it opens on the 9th of August and it closes in November 5 or 6. But I can wait till like maybe October to start writing my essays. No, that is already a recipe for failure. That is already a recipe for, because the essay you write in August will definitely be different in what you'll be submitting by November. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. It will be different because in what you have written in August, you would have had time to reflect on your journey all through. You begin to see, and this has happened to me a lot. I know, like for example, for my current program I'm currently doing, I know the program came up in August, and the deadline was in December, the 4th of December. I started writing my essay from August, and all I needed to submit was just one document. That was just all I needed to submit. I started writing it in August, and I saw that by October, the essay I had written in August was already changing. It became deeper and deeper and more clearer than before. And what I'll be submitting in December was more improved, more clear. I myself, I was like, yes, I was proud of myself. You'll have written some messages to a point and you just say that no, I think I've done a good job personally. Even if this doesn't win the scholarship, at the end of the day, I've done a very good job. So it's always important that you take time to reflect on your journey, because your reflection will help you to build your profile and present it properly. So please, one of the ingredients of scholarships application is doing them early. So once you are able to do this, I believe a huge amount of your problems or errors will be solved along the line. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Does anyone want to add anything before we start taking questions from the chat?
Yes, I have something to add. I know we have talked about the eligibility criteria and all of that, which is the fun stuff. But there's that not so fun stuff that is also out there, which is who is not eligible to apply for this scholarship. So Yes, the Chevening has also highlighted that in terms of who is not eligible. One of them is you do not have to hold a dual citizenship. So if you hold a dual citizenship, for example, with an eligible country, and then maybe you have a citizenship with the UK, you are not eligible to apply for this scholarship because I mean you are part of a higher income country already, so you are not you can afford, I think, to study in those other countries at a lower yeah, price or
A lower
something,
fee, yeah,
from
yeah.
yeah, lower fee than anyone else. So that's it. The second one, which is also confusing for some, is on the refugee status. There's also a mention in terms of you do not have to hold a refugee status in a country which is not eligible for the scholarship. So, for example, you are in the UK and you are from Malawi, for example, and you are in the UK with a dual citizenship status, I think, something like that. If you are residing in the UK, automatically you are exempted from applying for the scholarship. However, if, for example, you are from Malawi and you hold a dual refugee status in Mozambique, you can apply for the scholarship. So that's also one of the things that we should also note. Another one is you do not have to be an employee of like the British government. For example, if you are from the FCD or British embassies from your countries, those ones are you are not eligible to apply, as well as the relatives. So they also have qualified the relatives of these people. So they can be like their daughters, their sons, their fathers, all of that kind of relations. So do take note of this. We always talk about the eligibility criteria, but also forgetting that there are also some disqualification factors. So you might go ahead to just apply, not knowing that we have these other relations that are there which are disqualifying us, but we haven't taken note of that and proceed to just apply for the scholarship. And then you end up 3 years. I'm just applying for 4 years, but I'm not being picked. Those are some of the disqualification factors that we also should take note of as we are doing the applications. Sure.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think that's a very important point. I would say, as one other tip, go and explore the Chevening website. Take your time to go and explore the Chevening website. The eligibility criteria is there, the application process. Half of the information we've said here is actually on the website. It's just that, it's when it's written in black and white, people tend not to see it, but the information is actually there. Read through the eligibility criteria, read through what qualifies, what does not qualify, is all listed there. It's all listed there in black and white, and you can read it and you can know whether you qualify or not. Because, yeah, like 𝐒𝐚𝐥𝐤 just said, there are some people that are not qualified to apply. Even if you think you're qualified, it's not open to everyone. I think it's on a country by country basis. So it's only Commonwealth countries. So each country has their own number of slots. So it's not every country that can also apply for the Chevening scholarship. So also go and check those things out. So I think I will go through the comments and take some of the questions. I know we've probably answered some of them on our way through, but we'll just run through it very quickly to see if there's anyone that we've missed or if there's anything that we need to lay more emphasis on. Yes, let me see. What's the next question? This one. I think Morris asked this question. Is this the right time to start applying for admission into UK universities? What if successful for the 24-25 academic? Do you have to reserve the place? I think I've touched on this about using a deferred offer. But I also need to say that some universities, their application for 2025-2026 September intake may not be open at the moment, because some of them may still be rounding up the 2024-25 admission process, because those ones haven't also resumed. So people that applied for Chevening last year, some of them they've not started school yet. So the universities may still be tidying up those applications on that side. So they may not be taking applications for the next session as of yet. But like I said, the most important thing is to identify the university, the course, make sure it aligns with your goals. I would say, as part of the process, your submission is in November. If you've identified the schools and the courses you want to go for, you've built up your application. Around October, start checking if the admission process is already open. If it is, start making your application so that you can, have that down, make sure it fits. Some courses may be open in 24-25, but they may not be open for admission in 25-26. I think I've known someone that almost lost a scholarship because the course that she got the scholarship on, at the very last minute, they said that they were not offering that course in that next academic year. So she has to switch, which is one of the reasons why Chevening gives you the 3 options. So it's one of those things that you need to also be mindful of. So it's something that can happen. It's not very common, but it's also something that can happen. So some schools also do things like that. So you should just be aware. And there's also some schools also open new programs. So in 20, something that they didn't have in 24-25, they may open it up in 25-26. So it's also something to also look forward to. So always go through those websites, get the information. That's where your personal time and your personal research comes in. So does anyone want to add anything to that before we move to the next question?
It's something that you touched on when you were answering this question in terms of the 3 universities that you nominate. One other thing that when you're going back to choosing the universities that you're going to nominate in the application itself, there's a mention of whether they come from the same university or can be from different universities. So they can come from the same university. You can take courses from one university. It's fair and fine, as long as they relate to what you want to achieve in the future. Or you can take the courses from from 3 different universities. But the key thing is make sure that all your courses that you are putting in there, in terms of the universities, wherever you are taking them, they have to be related, because you don't have to put an engineering course here and then a biochemical course there and then a development studies and a gender course, like just mixing them anyhow. So that's where the research comes in. So when we are talking about researching the universities and you're researching the courses, that means you are going to nominate the universities that are more relatable to what you hope to achieve. So if, for example, University A doesn't pick you, you go to University B, you are most likely getting the same things that you would have gotten even if you went to University 1 or University C. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very important point, because I think the whole point is you're writing a profile about what you want to do. And the point is you need to pick universities and courses that match what you want to do. And if you don't do that, or if one or 2 of your options are odd, I think that reduces the quality of the essay that you're actually writing. So it's something that you need to also be mindful of. Let the 3 courses you're presenting be communicating that you're moving in one direction. Yeah, very important point.
Just one more thing as well.
Yeah.
In relation to so you've talked about the 3 universities being consistent. One thing I want to touch on as well is consistency within all the different S's, from leadership, networking, study, and career. And this is all essentially summarized in some kind of a theme. If you can identify your area of interest, for example, if maybe you are in the transport field and your interest is, maybe you've worked in as a safety officer or anything in relation to transport safety. If you can show that if you've worked in transport safety and even your future goals are related to transport safety, right from your leadership essay, how can you express, your leadership in transport safety? Like what can you show that kind of consistency, right from leadership to networking to the study essay as well as the career? Yeah, that's really what I want to put across. Just making sure that there is a very very, very good consistency within all the different essays.
Yeah, thank you. I think you've touched on one point that is going to come up when we're going to talk about the essays in particular, which is identifying what examples to actually present when you're trying to make your case. So that's a very important thing to keep in mind. Your examples have to be moving in the same direction, showing consistency within the field that you've put yourself in. But I think we'll talk in very great depth about that in the coming essay. So I'll just say watch out for when the next essay is going to come, because we're going to try to make it as detailed as possible. If possible, we're going to try to give a kind of examples to run through so that you understand the way the themes work. Yeah. So the next question, I think we've answered the question about age limits. For avoidance of doubt, there's no maximum age limit. I don't know if there's a minimum age limit, but I'm guessing there should be a minimum age limit. By all the other requirements, there should be a minimum age limit, but I don't know if there is. But if you check the website, you will see one, but I know there's no maximum age limit. Does anyone know of a minimum age limit?
No, I don't even know the minimum age limit, but by the time you finish your university, I mean, you should be over 18. Anyway, that's just an assumption, but yeah, we can go back and read on the website.
Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
Just so I'm not saying the wrong thing. Yeah. Okay. Next question we have is it compulsory to have work experience? I think Michael has touched on that, because I think in the form you need to fill as a line item how many hours you worked on which item to sum up to a particular minimum amount that they want to see. But I think I just want to say that your work experience does not have to be in the sector where you're planning to go into. Because like I said, you can be doing a master's because you want to go further in what you're doing, or you can be doing a master's because you want to switch careers or pivot into a different sector. So you don't really have to have work experience in what you're going into as a master's degree, but you have to have some work experience to show that, you are, like Michael said, capable of working. But just to put it that way, you have to show them that you can be part of a workforce. You can, and I think it's as a bare minimum, it just shows that you're actually going to do the work when you say you're going to do the work, because you can't say you're going to do something and you don't have any evidence to show that you've done it before or that you are capable of doing something. I think that's also the whole theme of the scholarship, leadership and networking. They want you to be a leader. You can claim that you're going to be a leader tomorrow, but we want to see what you've been doing in the past. How have you been leading for the past few years that you've been here? So I think it's one of those things that you also need to take account of.
Yeah, specifically, they have 2,800 hours actually that you have to put in there. So at the minimum, that's 2,800 hours.
Yeah, I think there's a way it's spread, but I can't remember the way there's a way it's spread over. I think there's a maximum number of hours per day.
2,800 hours over 2 years. So you should have at least 2 years work experience, or even 2,000. So you can just count. It just depends on. I think for 2 years, I think you should be able to cover the minimum hours that they are looking for. So I think it's just a matter of cross-checking whether you have all those hours spread over 2 years. But the minimum you should have 2,800 hours and 2 years. So if you have it over 1 year for those hours, I'm not so sure if as a person you can work all of that in 1 year. So I think they know that as for them to put up that number, I think they knew that at least it can be spread within 2 years or something. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we have Ejiro on screen. Welcome. She's been in the background working out the magic in the background. So it's nice to have you on screen with us.
Hi. So I just want to join briefly to read some questions that are not appearing on the chat. So I think you've answered some already, but I'll still read them so you can just brush it. So on LinkedIn we have Chiyambi. She said how many referees are required? That's number one. And number two, I think issue of English. Is English test, does it still apply? And what schools in UK do not require IELTS? So I'm just mixing different questions together. So yeah, I think that's from LinkedIn. Then I'll go to Facebook. So when you answer that, I'll go to Facebook also.
Oh, okay. Does anyone want to go with the number of referees? Does anyone want to pick that up?
Winnie.
I can talk.
Okay.
Yes.
Winnie, yes, you're the most.
So just two references are enough. For example, a work reference, and then a study reference from your maybe your undergrad study. Just two are enough. Personally, that's all I submitted, and it was fine. About the universities that don't require IELTS, I think that's a very subjective kind of question, because when you're applying, you're looking at what actually fits your needs. So not every university offers exactly what you want. So I think it's just very different for everyone, and I don't think it makes sense for us to start listing all the universities that accept IELTS or not. I think what you have to do is just do research. Of course, like it has been said, identify what course you want to do, and then what university offers those courses, and then go down to those other requirements, whether they allow IELTS or not, something like that. So I think that's your job to do. Yeah. And then what's the other question, Ejiro, please? I don't know if I missed it.
Okay. While she's finding that, I also just want to add on the IELTS one. I think Ejiro used to say this when she used to be on screen a lot before. Read. 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 You're applying to do a master's, so you're going to do a lot of reading and a lot of research. So you might as well start now. Google is a good friend, a very good friend. Google is going to probably be your best friend very soon. So just Google, read. The thing about IELTS is if we start listing universities that are exempt from IELTS, you probably list all the universities in the UK, because some do it on a cost by cost basis, some do it based on the country you're from, some do it based on your own experience. So your own documents might exempt you from an English test, but somebody else from the same country might not be exempt. If you've worked with a certain organization, they might be able to give you a letter of reference to show that you're competent in English language, and that might be fair enough. If you've done maybe one of the university's online courses, that might also serve as proof that you're proficient in English. I think one of the few other things you need to know is, even if you are not sure, send the university an email to ask.
Yeah.
Send the university an email to ask. If you see a university, you want to do this course, that's your dream, that's where you want to go, you're not sure whether they waive the IELTS or not, send them an email to ask. They will respond to you. They will let you know. They can let you know what you can do. They can let you know how to qualify. If you don't qualify, they will give you all the information you need. They want you to come and study with them. They're happy that you found their course interesting. So they will help you out with everything that you need in order to be able to scale that hurdle. So do that research, reach out to university. It doesn't really go wrong when you ask them, because I can tell you that they never exempt. They're always very strict. But when you reach out to them, they'll tell you, oh no, it's fine, we can let it go for you. So I don't want to be the one to stand in the way of you going to your dream university. So I'm not going to say this university does and that university doesn't. Yeah.
And please apply to the universities, even if IELTS is one of the requirements. Please apply to that. Even if it's Cambridge, Oxford, whatever it is that you want to. If it's a dream, if it's your dream university, go for it. Go all out. As Butch has said, emails should be your best friend. People here, people in the UK, do dish out. Actually, I'm saying here because I'm here for my graduation. Yeah. So
Oh,
yeah.
he didn't invite me. Oh my God.
Yeah, so they are happy to answer your questions, anything at all. So please do go in.
Yeah. Ejiro, did you find the last? No, Michael wants to. Sorry.
Before we
Michael,
go, I think I'm saying something. So I think I need to quickly speak up on what I'm saying on the chat. Now, okay, Chevening has a policy that after your study, you have to return to your country for 2 years. I don't know if anybody is aware of this. So, people need to be, before you, I know in this current climate now, everybody wants to move out of the country to study, outside, and from there move on to other things. Yes, but it's important that you know that there's a policy attached to this investment to be given to you. So I believe you'll be signing some document. I did that on Commonwealth because I'm a Commonwealth scholar. Uh, we signed documents to attest that at the end of our program, we'll be returning back to our study. But Commonwealth is for just a year, but Chevening is for 2 years. So I just want us to be notified on that. Yes, Chevening is for 2 years. So I know Chevening scholars that have done that so 2 years, but I don't know. You might have other opportunities after that you can move on to. That Chevening can give you a go ahead with it. So these are always considered on a case by case basis. So based on the nature, either you're going for a PhD, you are going for if you get opportunity for a job. So those are not something that you can get a direct response from this platform because it will be considered on a case by case basis with cheapening at the end of your program. So just be aware that at the end of your master's program, you should be going back to your country for at least 2 years.
Sorry, just to add to that, I beg to differ. I'm sorry. I like we don't always agree. I don't think Commonwealth states the duration. They just say return to your country. So let's not. I don't think. Oh, but sure, am I wrong? I didn't see where they put 1 year. They just said you must return.
Yeah, I don't think there's. I don't
Yeah,
think
they did not
there's.
state
That's
it.
It's explicitly stated, but
No,
that's
Chevening
for
have to,
state
common.
you have
Commonwealth
to.
did not
Yeah,
state.
For Commonwealth, you have to
Yeah.
return.
Yeah, but for
Yeah,
Chevening, they do state
Yeah,
it's
70
one of the
states,
requirements.
2 years.
Actually, it's one of the
yeah.
requirements. When you're applying, you should know that that's one of the requirements for you to retain to your home country for 2 years. You can
Yeah.
travel to the UK just like for tourist issues because you're going to come back. But if you want to stay, it's not like he said. It's by case basis if you are staying, because there are some other issues in terms of if your home country there is unrest or something like that, they
Yeah.
can grant you like to stay for those kind of issues. But other than that, if there is any other issues, even if it's a PhD, you might be denied to stay if you're a Chevening scholar. So it's a matter of someone else in the previous years might have been granted that you can stay because you've gotten a PhD or you've gotten these other issues, but you find yourself that you have that PhD offer in your hands. They're saying no. So as he has rightly put it, staying is a strictly case by case. If you're applying, just know that that requirement is enforced. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so thank you so much. I know we have a lot of questions on the YouTube, so let me just quickly get the ones on Facebook. So hi to James, hi to Gladys and Joe and all of you. Thank you. So just I think some questions have been answered, so I'll just pick the ones which I think may have or may have not been answered.
Sorry,
Um,
sorry. Before you continue, I think we had one question from the first
oh,
ones, the first three you listed out that we didn't.
really? Okay, then
Winnie,
if
am I
that
right?
okay,
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so,
There was some in the chat.
okay, then let's
just so we don't miss someone's question. I just remembered that. I
yes,
think
please, that'll be good.
yeah.
Someone asked about how about GPA? A person with a lower second level GPA can be able to secure this scholarship. I
Um.
think that I answered already. I just told them it's second upper. That's the minimum. Let
Okay.
me
Just to
see if
add
there's
to that,
anything else we missed.
I think on the GPA thing, I think there's an exception to that actually.
Okay.
Depending, yeah, I think the exception depends on if you're leveraging your undergraduate degree, or if you're leveraging work experience, because some people are applying based on 10 years in the industry or 15 years in the industry, and their undergraduate degree may no longer be relevant at that point. So
Yeah.
if you got below the 2-1 requirement, but you have a certain degree of work experience, I think it's written on the website somewhere, but I'm not really sure about that. But I know that at some point there's a kind of threshold where your work experience is what is actually, because even the referees you bring, they will only expect you to bring references from the work industry as well. You don't need
Yeah.
to bring, yeah. So because if you're if you did your undergraduate degree 20 years ago, I don't really think it's very relevant at that point. So it's one of those things to also be mindful of. So
I think for that one, I think they also specified on the requirements to say you need to have a first degree. Typically, the word is typically 2 to 1. So it's how we interpret the wording itself. They're saying typically 2 to 1, which should be able to grant you a university place in the UK. So the concern is your degree should be able to gain you a place in the UK. So how you interpret that statement, I think as Butch has said, is by person
yeah,
by person, depending on
because
their
I
experience.
think I've seen someone that had a
Mm-hmm.
2-2, but
Yeah.
even with the university admission, had to use work experience to fill that gap.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
university granted the admission. I think this was even in a business school or something. But
Yeah, that happened to me, but that was in Australia. So I applied for a program, and they said, okay, in terms of they had to use my work experience to balance up to make me qualify for the admission. I think I'm
yeah,
so experienced. Wow. Okay.
yeah, okay. Did you find the question, or should we?
Yeah. So I think there are some on Facebook that pop up on the chat. Why some did not? So I'll just go to one that did not pop up. This one
Oh,
says okay. This one says can we watch this during the can we watch this video? So I think the answer is yes. All right. Yeah. Then
yeah,
what?
yeah. It will be available on
Yeah.
whatever platform you're streaming from. Actually,
Yeah. What is the minimum qualification? Have this been addressed?
I think that's what we just talked about.
Oh. Oh goodness. Sorry. Yeah.
There's another question which has just come in. I think it's about if you already have a master's, are you still eligible to apply? The answer is yes. But there's a but at the end of it all.
There's
You
always a
have to
but.
show them why you need a second master's. Another but is that masters should not have been funded by a scholarship from a UK government scholarship. If that's it. But if it's a master's from your home country, from any other country apart from, or even from the UK, but not funded by the British government, you can still apply for a second master's. But the only thing is, you have to explain to them why you need the second master's in your essays.
Has this one been addressed? Thank you, Chair.
Uh,
Has this been
on the
addressed?
screen, yeah, we have, is the application open to HND holders or only BSc holders? I think this also falls back to the previous point of the admission,
Minimum. Yeah. Okay.
because I think the thing about Chevening is they're not really assessing your academic background. They kind of outsource that. The scholarship kind of outsources that to the universities. So if the university is confident with you having you as their student, they usually will back that. But obviously on the website is stated different, it's stated their own basic requirements. So sometimes I think sometimes you need to read the requirements, understand exactly what it says. That I've seen a HND holder that did this Chevening scholarship might be an exception or might be a special case. It might not really be the norm. So I won't say it's the norm, but it can happen or it has happened, and it's always on a case by case basis. So I think there was important thing is understanding the way the process works, understanding that some things might limit your chances, but they might not completely exclude your chances. I don't know if anyone has a contrary opinion. I think it's contrary. That's the correct term.
No, I think that we were answering the same question that was here on the screen, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
HND versus BSc question.
Yeah. Oh, there was another one in terms of it is a score. I think you had put it from Festina. It says, is the score grade distinction or credit a prerequisite for selection over other accomplishments? So in terms of if you have a distinction or a credit, does that mean the Chevening will select you over other candidates? The answer is
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's how I've understood that question. The answer to that is no, no. In terms of having a distinction or a credit, just puts you like one foot forward to gaining to gaining a place in the UK, and also you have qualified. That's the first step of qualifying for you to apply for the scholarship. But when it comes to the selection process itself, they'll look at the overall application in terms of, now there's that the quality of your essays. That's why in the timeline, as I explained, as we started the call, the timeline says there's going to be a selection committee which is going to come in and read your essays. From your essays, that's when they are taking people over to go to the interviews. So what qualifies someone now here over someone with a distinction, a 2-2, or a 2-1, or anything else, are now the essays. So whatever your accomplishments, hey, this is a very big word. whatever, whatever accomplishments that you have, you need to write them convincingly in the essays, because you can have a very good CV out there that other people really look up to you to say, yes, she has accomplished a lot, but you fail to write that in your essays. So the way you write your essays has to speak of the accomplishments itself, have to speak from the leadership, networking, all of that. And I think we're going to touch on that later on, because some of us have beautiful CVs out there, but we fail to put that in the essays for the selection committees to select us for the next stages. Yeah.
Permit me to just, on the lighter note, with the big English and everything, you still got your Chevening award. So it's to show that we are humans. Nobody's perfect. So with your shortcomings or whatever it is, you can still get the scholarship. That's the point.
Mm.
All right. I like that anyway. So
Yeah, I think it's a very important. It's a very important point to know that it's people like you, it's people like
yeah.
me that get the scholarship. There's nothing special about those that got the scholarship. You know,
Mm.
the committee can choose someone that got a 2 and over a first class
Yeah.
if the person has a stronger application.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, the Chevening also has the interview stage, and when you go for the interview stage, they will grade those your 4 essays against your interaction with them. So
Yeah.
that you're good on paper and you're not good in person is also a different thing, and that's also something that levels out. Maybe you performed well in school, but you're not. So it doesn't mean that having that, if there's 20 places and there's 21 people with first class, that all the 20 places will be filled with first class. It doesn't work. It doesn't really work that way. They wouldn't choose that over you unless the person has a more quality application than you. Then that gives them an added extra. Okay, I think we've gotten most of our questions out. I think, Ejiro, are there any unseen questions that we haven't addressed?
Honestly, I don't know. So, but just to say to the audience, I think we still have a lot of people online. If you feel we missed your question, kindly just go up on the chat again, just in case we missed the question, because there are a lot of chat going on, a lot of input. So please just drop your questions again if we did not address it, or if we are not satisfied with our responses. Yeah, I think that will help.
Yeah, I think that's the right thing to do. So, if you think we didn't answer your question properly, just ask it again or restructure the question. So I think we've said most of what we wanted to say for today's session, and we've spent quite some good time going through this. I hope that those in the audience got at least, even if you didn't get all your questions answered, you got some of the first initial questions you had answered, and then you now have new questions to ask, and then you also have new questions that will come up in the coming days, because that's how the process is supposed to be. When you come to these sessions, you're supposed to have you have some questions answered, and then you begin to have new questions that you have to go and ask yourself. That's what it means that you're learning. It's something. Well, if you start your master's degree, it's something that you go to a class, you learn something, and you walk away with answers and more questions. And I can see Michael is smiling because it's probably it's something that everyone can relate to. You go to class, you get answers, and you get more questions. And sometimes, your lecturer gives you some questions to go and answer on your own. It's part of the learning process. It's part of the learning curve. So it's one of those things. Don't feel that if you have more questions after this session, that is you're on the wrong side of it. You're actually on the right side of it, because if you don't have more questions after listening to this chat, it means that either you understood everything very well or you didn't understand anything at all. It has to be one of the two. It has to be one of the two. If you understood, you have to have more questions to ask, because it's a learning process. More things are unraveling. Then you go to the Chevening website. Like I always say, go to the Chevening website and make sure that the answer to your question is not already there before you start running helter skelter trying to find it. I think that's a very important point I want to make on behalf of our speakers, so that too many people are not asking you the same questions that are on the website. Good. Chevening website has FAQs, frequently asked questions. That's a very good place to always start when you have a query, because some of the questions you ask, maybe other people have asked, and then it's there. You can also send Chevening questions via email. They will answer you. They will reply to you in case you don't have anybody else to ask. Or in case you reach out to someone and they cannot answer your question, you can send Chevening an email asking them a question. They will answer. There's a question on the screen. Are there still scholarships available for 2024-2025 session? I will answer this question in two ways. Chevening, no. Chevening, no. Because, like I said, if you want Chevening next year, you apply this year. So if you wanted Chevening this year, you should have applied last year, and you would have gotten a response to whether you are successful or not. Now, outside Chevening, the answer can be yes, because it now depends on different circumstances. I know we've said a lot of it depends, case by case basis throughout this talk. It's just to let you people know that nothing is actually rigid. The world is not purely black and white. Nothing is really set in stone. Everyone's situation is always different, and these bodies and organizations always recognize that situations are different and they can change, and rules are made to help and guide us to the right direction, not to restrict us from achieving what we want to achieve. So in terms of scholarships, your university might have internal scholarships that they are running. Your university might have internal scholarships university-wide, course specific. Your course might have the scholarship it's running. There's some bodies that give scholarships when you've started studies, or once you've gotten admission, or once you're on the brink. There are some scholarships for different people in different categories: gender, race, country of origin, disability status, etc. So not every scholarship has to be funded by the UK government, but there are other bodies that also fund. So, like, again, Google is one of your best friends, but universities usually have on their website scholarship opportunities for students. If your university has a very robust website, every course is going to have a scholarship tab. So every scholarship that works or that students on that course have gotten in the past or they have used, the university would list them out, list the criteria and a lot of things like that there. In the last attempt, I would say, email the school, let them know you've got admission on this course, because I would assume that you've gotten admission and you're asking for scholarship, because there's no scholarship without admission. So if you've gotten admission, email your school, email the admissions team, or email the department on the course you're on. Ask them if there's any funding opportunities available to you. Most of the time, they will look at your profile, they go back to your profile, look at your profile, and match you with whatever scholarships are available, or send you the link to the scholarship board, or they will put you in charge, or they will put you in touch with the staff that's in charge of internal scholarships or external scholarships in the university, and then you can explore your options from there. So this is additional information that I just wanted to drop. It can be partial, it might be full, it depends. You might even see a scholarship that's better than Chevening that you can get by interacting with your university, quote and unquote, better than Chevening. So just explore those opportunities as well. Everyone's story is not going to be the same. Everyone's not going to get the Chevening scholarship, but some people will get opportunities that match better, more, whatever way you want to look at it. There are opportunities everywhere. Just try to make sure that you're maximizing it and you're getting the information that you need to understand where the opportunity is and how to make use of it. I think that's how I'll answer that question. I don't know if anyone wants to add anything to that.
Well, I just want to contribute with respect to how to access these opportunities, because truth be told, you cannot always get everything yourself. So that's where network comes in place. So you join WhatsApp groups that share scholarship opportunities, attend webinars, even ask your colleagues or your family that, oh, I'm interested in scholarship. If you see anything about this, just let me know. Because I've seen some people that got information about opportunities like a day to the deadline and they applied for it and they got it. So you can't always do everything yourself, especially when you're working. So just try to explore all your opportunities, friends, family, subscribe to mailing list, etc. Also go to schools and just explore their website, like what you said. Yeah, I think that way you can actually get more opportunities at your doorstep.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. I cannot see any more questions in the chat, so I would assume that, like I said, our audience are having questions that they are still processing, which we will answer in future webinars. So take those home, digest your questions, digest all the information. The recording will always be up for you to watch and rewatch. If you ever have any question, I think they've dropped links to follow some of the speakers on LinkedIn. So I always put this in. Our speakers always try to make themselves available for people to reach out and ask questions, maybe at a later date. I always say, just as part of the learning process, try to be polite when you go into people's.
How are you?
Don't like I tell people, don't go into someone's. Don't go to LinkedIn. Send someone a connection request. Person accepts. You go into the person's inbox and start and type hi, and disappear. No one's. It's not. You didn't. We're not on the. We're not on the street where you hi and I wave back at you. So because someone will come back later, say notification, go in, sees hi, doesn't know whether to respond or not. Might not even forget to respond because there's nothing to respond to there, because we really don't know each other and I don't know who you are. I don't know that you attended this webinar, etc. So you go in, greet, give your greetings, hi, hello, put in at least a paragraph. I'll say at least a paragraph or at least one or two sentences to tell the person why you're messaging them, what you need, so that it's easier that if the person takes out 5 minutes to read your message and the person has we can be able to answer your question within that 5 minutes or point you in the right direction within that 5 minutes. Not you send hi and the person sends hi back and then tomorrow you send how are you and then after 3 days you start it doesn't work, and the person will just probably, if it's me, I might just switch off on that message and come back to it maybe after 5 days to see if you've followed up the hey, how are you, with other useful information that I can be able to help you out with, because nobody lives on the internet. So it's just one of those things you need to know how to get into. It's not just about our mentors here, it's in general when you're reaching out to people in a professional or when you need people's help for something. You don't just don't go through the don't feel that you have to hi, hello, and generate a thread of conversation before you ask for what you want. If you just put it in a concise and polite way, the person will take away the message, and try to guide you in whatever way that they can. So I think we've got a few questions that popped in while I was speaking, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think this should be
so
our
one
last few
in the
questions.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are
This should
you
be our last. Yeah.
are you going to have a session on how to write up essay in conformity to what's required? Yeah, I
Yes.
think we've mentioned that. We'll have another session to talk about the 4 essays in detail and give tips and tricks. So watch out for that one. What next can we have a webinar like this again? The future date to be communicated. So wherever you heard about this one, probably you get the date for the next one. We haven't fixed the date for it yet, but like I said, it will be once the application window for Chevening is open. We would now fix a session. So by then, we would expect that you've drafted some messages to come to the session with. We might have other webinars on this space that are not related to Chevening in the meantime, between then and whenever we have the next Chevening session, because we also talk about other scholarship and studying opportunities as well. So if you're also interested in that, you're welcome to always come back and see what we have on offer. On the screen, we have, if you failed at getting admission in any of the UK universities, does it mean you are not qualified to apply for the scholarship? Briefly, like I said, you've probably already submitted your scholarship application before you get your admission status if you don't already have an offer. So submit your application and then apply for the admission. But if you don't secure any UK admission, it's either you're not qualified for the courses you're applying to, or you're doing something wrong, and that's going to hamper your chances of getting the scholarship at the end. So it's something that if that happens, or if you've experienced that in the past, you might need to have follow-up questions to find out what exactly the issue might have been, why all the universities are not giving you the admission. It might be it might be something very trivial, but it may be a mistake that has been reoccurring in all your applications. Things like that also happen. So at this point, this is where we allow the speakers to give their last words or parting words. Does anyone want to go first? Does anyone want to volunteer to go first, or should I?
Me.
Okay. So just
Okay.
last words for the audience, as we're closing out.
All right. So my last words, I think all the time I've come on these sessions, research, research, and research. Why? Because when you embark on the scholarship applications journey, these webinars, we're just going to talk about the things that we know, the things that are out there, but we won't go into the whole detail. So even if you go to the Chevening website, you'll find that all of these, everything that we've talked here, it's explained very well by themselves. So go back to the Chevening scholarship, read that website. It has everything, even how to tackle the essays. The webinar that is coming subsequently after this, it has all those tips available. What they are looking for in terms of a leader, what is it that makes you a leader? It's there on the Chevening Scholar website. The same way as you're searching for the schools, please read as much as possible the website of the schools before you even email them, because some of them will just signpost you to a link that is already on the website. So read before you even message them to say, what is it that you are looking for? I have this. Can you explain in detail? Because I read on your website like this, but I'm failing to understand it. So you should have read. The final thing is, please do not disqualify yourself. Do not limit yourself as how far you can go in terms of seeking for scholarships or anything else. So please remove that self-doubt, that limitation. These scholarships are for everyone, just like you and me. Everyone else here who has gotten the scholarship are not in any way special, or they were made in such kind of way that they are going to get the scholarships. It just started with one step, one thought, and then they started the whole application. And use your networks wisely. Do not just, as Buchi has said, go to the inboxes and ask them nicely. Don't go to say, I just saw you on the website on talking about Chevening. What is it all about? Then you have not read. Go and read, have questions, jot down, and go to the website, to the person to say, I saw you talking about Chevening scholarship. I have this, but I don't understand this point. Can you explain in detail? And the person will give you a reply than just going all out. What is Chevening scholarship? Then the person will just give you a link to the Chevening website for you to read. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I totally agree with the link to the Chevening website part. Michael, do you have any last words? I completely understand that the Euro final is kicking off, and a lot of us want to go and so I am apologizing for overshooting time, and we are in the last minute of the webinar now. So please, briefly.
I have been waiting to sign out. But that's on lighter note anyway. But I think I will say what I said last week to some to a set of people. I said it to. That's, you will get tired. That's the truth. Trying to make these applications, trying to write these essays, you will get tired. most times you would think you don't have what they ask for, but the truth is that all you need is more and more reflection on your journey. And the smallest thing, it can be as helping a family, it can be as doing something in your department. This can be included in your application. So please try to reflect more on your journey so that your application will be as robust as possible. And do not give up. As Buchi said earlier on, not everyone will get the Chevening scholarship. That is the absolute truth. Not everyone. But if you still want to get a scholarship, you do not have to give up. Even if you do not eventually make the Chevening scholarship, there are other scholarships that are available that you can. So if it interests you to keep working on scholarships, keep doing that. But do not give up if you have it in mind. So that is my piece of advice I will give everyone to sign out to today. Thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Winnie, I left you for last because you had audio issues at the beginning, so we want your voice to be the last one that we're going to hear.
That's fine.
Yeah,
All right.
so go ahead for last words. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Buchi. Wow, what are the parting shots? One, I think I will start with one, which is a very encouraging note. Believe in yourself, most of the times we tend to see ourselves as not good enough, not worthy. And those can be very limiting, because it kind of forms a barrier to seeing the very good things about yourself. And so, if anything, believe in yourself. And we've actually talked about already, is that introspection is very important. Just take some time off, just before you even start to write or to even think about any of the essays. What are those things about yourself, that set you apart, that are unique? And because essentially what you're going to write is to express who you are, but you need to have a place to start, and the place to start is to know who you really, really are. So take the time and understand those things about yourself, the things that you have done, the things you've done in the past, the things you're doing now, and where you want to go in the future. So all those are very important. So that's one. And then the second one, just like the other speakers have already said, that it's a very challenging process, and that is very expected. But also, one thing I want to say is that commit your whole self to the process. Don't give half effort to doing things. Give your whole self. When it comes to doing the research, do as much as can possibly be done. Look everywhere and anywhere. If there's any piece of information you need to find out, if you need to explore every kind of website, or even ask someone a question, or just do whatever it takes. Just commit your whole self to the whole process. And that's the best way to write your best piece of work. It's by putting your whole into it and, believing in yourself. Just one final thing. One very final thing is that this scholarship is very prestigious, by the way. For any of us who have gone through it, we really completely understand, what it exposes you to, and, the opportunities and what you can learn, And if you can keep that at the back of your mind, that this is essentially life-changing. For me, that's how I find it, really. And it has the potential to do so much for you, So if you can understand the extent of the potential of this kind of scholarship, it will encourage you to put in all the work, And if you put in all the work, at the end of the day, the very, very last bit is to believe, If anything, if you're a Christian, pray about it, It is very competitive, and it can be tough. And there are times when it's really, really challenging. But one of the things that I learned along the way is to walk the walk of faith, to believe and actually pray about things. Having put in all the work, by the way, there's that part that comes to a point where you can only do so much now. You've done everything, and then the rest is given to God. So this is also one of the times to express your faith as well. Yeah. So thank you so much. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you for those parting words. Ejiro, I'm not going to give you the mic because, we're pressed for time. So just wave to the audience and say goodbye.
Wait, thank you,
Yeah.
everyone from
So,
Canada, Malawi, you Okay.
so I just want to thank all the speakers for, their patience, their time. We've been here for about 2 hours plus. I also want to apologize again for coming in late. And, we're rounding up now. For all those that are watching the Euros, I wish you all the best. Whoever you're supporting, everyone's not going to be happy tonight, but someone's going to be. So everyone, all the best, but someone's going to win. And I just also want to make this final point. I know there are some questions that came in while we were rounding up. So those questions were answered in the course of the recording. So you can always go back, watch the recording, and follow it through. We're not taking those now. And any further questions you have, we'll bring them to the next session, or as I said, you can reach out to any of the speakers and then they can be followed up. So this is where I say good night or have a nice day, depending on what time or where you are watching us from. Enjoy the rest of your day, take everything into account, put in the work, and you should be successful at the end. Take the scholarship application process as a learning curve. Even if you don't get the scholarship at the end, you will be better off if you put in the work, because it's also a self-development process. You can use the experience in applying for one scholarship to apply for many others. So it makes the whole thing easy. So that's just one final thing to say. See you all next time. And like I said, have a good rest of your day. And goodbye.